Range Rover SVR. And that's right, as the title says, it's the cheapest one in the UK. Let's see who bids for this vehicle. Whoa. What's up, man? No way. Yeah, we got a bit of a mess. That is just crazy. Engine is out. You can never know what you expect from an auction, seriously, man. Yes, people, what's going on? Namz back here with yet another project vehicle. It's right behind me. It's the mighty 5-litre Range Rover SVR. And that's right, as the title says, it's the cheapest one in the UK. So, Range Rover SVR coming up in auction in 5 minutes time. Let's have a look at the car. So it's a 17 plate facelift. When I say facelift, they facelifted this model in 66, so you got the widescreen sat nav and whatnot. But yeah, it's a black on black. Looks pretty good. Yeah, quite committed to this. Red interior, very nice. Black on the outside, red in the inside. Here we go. It's up for 13,200 so far. Let's see who bids for this vehicle. No bids as of yet. Alright, let's bid. The guy's just waiting. Just click away, man. Whoa. Car's mine. No. I just won the car and there was no reserves on it whatsoever. 14.5. Alright, cool, done. At the time of bidding, I had a quick look on the market to see what they retail at. And the cheapest one with similar miles came in at 30k and above, which makes my SVR an absolute bargain, being half the price. However, we still need to find out what's wrong with it, and that can make all the difference. So let's go find out. So as you can see, it's a black on black Range Rover SVR, supercharged of course, very, very nice. It's got red bucket seats, red interior, looks absolutely stunning. This car I bought as a complete non-runner, therefore it will not start. At least that's what the report says anyway. Let's have a look around the car and then we'll get around to diagnosing what's wrong with it. So as you can see, it came with no number plates. Why, I don't know. Got the usual SVR blue brake calipers from Brembo. You got the side steps halfway hanging out. I'm assuming the battery died out. But in terms of condition, it looks pretty good, I must say. With the 4 quad exhaust, very nice. Let's have a look inside. Yeah, this car's in a bit of a state. Look at that. Got all of these bits and pieces lying around. Number plates. The back, even worse. But I love these seats though. And to be fair, this car's on 70,000 miles. These seats are in top condition. Look at that. Hardly any wear on them at all. Have a look at the back. Oh, look at them. Bucket seats. There's actually bucket seats in the back as well. From the shape of it. Looks pretty good. You come around to this side and of course you can see needs a new side mirror glass. There's my Audi RS3, the project car that you've been watching all for the last few months. Let's prop the bonnet. Let's see what's going on. Being a Range Rover SVR, obviously you expect engine problems. Range Rovers notorious for problems. Wonder what's wrong with this one. Oh wow, look at this. You've got all of these white marks all over the engine bay. Don't know, looks like water. You know that blue when it dries up, that's what it looks like. No idea where it came from. What I'm going to do next, I'm going to plug up the diagnostic machine to the car. Let's see what faults it brings back. And of course I'm going to try to crank the engine as well. So let's get a booster attached as the battery is completely flat. I've got my Autel linked up to the system. Let's jump in and let's have a look. Things are about to get interesting now. Let's have a look what sort of fault codes we have. I must say this car's got a lovely interior, man. It's actually got suede roof lining, not to mention the pan roof all the way to the back. And of course it's a sliding roof as well. So we're just going to scan the engine first. Ignore the other modules because it's not necessary. Obviously transmission with a parking lock overrided because it came on a truck. So let's pause it. Let's see what fault codes we have. So straight away we got 16 fault codes in the engine. Camshaft position sensor 2, sensor B, multiple cylinder misfires on this side, which is bank 2. As a V8 engine, you got bank 1, bank 2. Misfire detected on startup. Persistent misfire. Loads of misfires on this engine. loads of misfires, and of course you got camshaft related fault codes. And I'll be honest with you, from the initial look, it definitely sounds like it's a timing issue, because the amount of time it says camshaft, position, sensors and whatnot. Now usually sensor, you get fault codes when the timing's out and it's not getting a reading from where it's supposed to pick up from, and when the timing's out, this is what you get. So I guess we're gonna have to see. I'm gonna crank the engine now, and just to see what happens. Obviously they told me it's a non-runner. Let's confirm that. So got the booster attached to the engine. Let's crank it. Nope, nothing at all. And to be honest, to me, seems like a seized engine. I just pressed it, it didn't want to turn at all, like literally stuck, which is the signs of a seized engine or a faulty starter motor. We're gonna have to tell once we push this car into the workshop. Let's go. We've got work to do. We're gonna get this beast up and running. Whether it's a timing issue, engine issue, I'm looking very, very forward to getting this beast fired up. Very, very excited for it. These 5 litre supercharged engines may not be as reliable, but they sound absolutely amazing. And we're gonna make sure this dead car comes alive. It looks like it's been parked for nearly a year. Literally, look. Look at that. Got leaves in there. I couldn't tell you what's happened to this car, but it's got all sorts of strange stuff going on. Have a look at the boot. Yeah, this car needs a full-on detail. Enough talking, let's go straight into the workshop. Here we go, the big SVR going in. Gotta give it a hand on this 2.5 ton vehicle. It ain't easy, trust me. Especially with the power steering. So, press the brake. Wow, look at that. There we go, guys. SVR in the workshop, straight onto the ramp to diagnose what's wrong with it. So now the SVR is inside. The first thing we're gonna do to rule out the engine, of course, is pull out the oil filter and check for cuttings. That will tell me if the car's got any sort of bottom end damage, like the crankshaft, con rods or whatever. So yeah, let's remove the engine cover and let's have a look at the oil filter. Normally the oil filter basically holds any sort of debris and dirt, and of course metal cuttings if the engine's about to fail or failing, like this one did. All the oil goes through this filter. So let's remove this and let's have a look. So what I'm hoping from this car is not to see any sort of cuttings in the oil filter, because that would mean happy days for me, and it means it's a timing issue. The worst case scenario on that would be, of course, the timing chain, the tensioners, and if the valves have hit the pistons, then obviously valves, and we have to inspect the pistons as well. So yeah, but even if it's a rebuild, I've accounted that into the price of the car. As I said, it's the cheapest one in the UK. Even if I have to rebuild this engine, we will. And it's even better for the content. We'll have to pull the engine out. To remove the oil filter, you have to get a special adapter, which goes on top of that, and then you just attach a wrench and just turn it anti-clockwise. There you go. Good news or bad news?
Good news have come up, man.
You think so, yeah?
Yes.
Sean says it's good news.
Have to be, man.
By the way, off camera, we did manage to start the car before, but it was just about running, it was shaking, misfiring, and then it stalled. So we can't really tell if the engine's, you know, all right, forget that.
Come on, man.
Yeah?
Come on, man.
What? Ooh, cuttings, no?
No, man. Good news, man.
Wow, no way.
Good news, man. Say a good fucking news, man.
Good news, yeah? Not a single cutting, right?
Nothing.
Right, guys, we just pulled the oil filter out, and not a single cutting can be seen in the oil filter housing. Amazing so far. Look, these things look like cuttings, but it's just bubbles, isn't it?
Yeah.
Look at that. Scared me a little bit. So obviously we got fault codes for misfiring, loads of camshaft sensor fault codes as well. I'm gonna have to assume that at this moment, it is the timing. We do have to have a check if the engine is seized, but it's highly unlikely because we started the car early on. If it starts, it means it's not seized. The battery is dead flat. So of course from that end, that's probably why we can't start it again. even with our boosters and stuff. So I think next up, we'll check if the crank is seized, just for the sake of it, and then on to stripping this engine down. So what we're planning to do with this is remove the front end of the car, so the bumper, the radiator pack and whatnot, which is going to give us access to the front of the engine. Timing on this engine is at the front, not the back, so we don't have to remove the gearbox. It's straightforward, just the front end. Open the timing chain cover and inspect the timing chains. However, if the timing has jumped on this car, it means the valves would have hit the pistons. In that case, we may have to remove the cylinder heads as well. And I can't tell, what do you think? If it is the heads...
If the head, I think the engine have to come out, bro.
Engine have to come out, yeah. That's what I thought, because it's a V8. There's not a lot of space down there to access a lot of things. But obviously, once the front end's removed, we'll have a better look. Do the timing chain, probably do a leak down test to confirm if the valves are bent or not. Let's get started. All right, guys, it's Monday morning. We're back on the Range Rover SVR. First thing we're gonna do is check if the crankshaft is seized. Secondly, we're gonna get the oil out and then on to stripping things down. Let's get started. So to check if the engine is seized, what we need to do is go to the crankshaft over there, the crankshaft pulley, apply a socket to it and turn it manually, turn the engine manually. If it gets stuck now, it means the engine is seized. If it turns, it means it's operating as normal.
Stop.
Huh?
It's stuck.
Seriously?
Yeah.
No way. So the engine is seized, guys, man. No way. I didn't expect that, to be honest, because the car was running when it first came in. So I'm not sure what happened there, but as you just saw, we just tried to turn the crank manually and it won't move whatsoever. The engine is 100% seized. Why? We don't know yet. It could be because of the timing, because obviously, as I said, we got timing fault codes on the engine. That's all we have for this car at the moment, and misfires. Let's remove the oil, see the condition of the oil. I'm expecting to see some metal cuttings.
Wow.
What's that, man?
Maybe head gasket, oil cooler.
Was that water?
Yeah.
You know, we just tried to get the oil out of the engine. We just had water coming out the engine. Whoa, that is not looking good, man. Now you got oil coming out now, thick and fast, but just now, when we removed it first, water came out. Things are getting worse by the minute, man. First I thought it's a timing problem. Now the engine's seized and there's coolant in the engine. What's next? Flipping hell. Initially I said we're going to remove the front bumper to just do the timing, but it seems not. The way things are looking now, we're going to have to remove the engine completely from the car and strip it down to see what's going on. I bought this car assuming that it might need a full rebuild, because when it's a non-runner at auction, you just don't know and you got to assume the worst. On that note, let's get this engine out of the car. To remove the engine, we need to move a lot of things around it first. So obviously you got the supercharger on top, you got the air boxes which I've removed already, all of these coolant hoses, pipes, wiring looms, pretty much disconnected from the chassis. And then we're going to go underneath and remove all the gearbox bolts, separate the gearbox from the engine. And once we do that, we can then hook up our crane onto the engine and lift it upwards, straight from there. So we're going to remove the gearbox next, and obviously to do that, you got something in the way with the exhaust system. So what we're going to do is remove the exhaust out of the way first, and then go on to remove the gearbox bolts, which attach itself to the engine. It's very hard to show you that because space is very limited over here. Slowly, bit by bit, we're going to get the gearbox bolts off as well next, and then get the gearbox on the ground, move on to the engine. So what we're moving at the moment is the prop shaft. As you can see, it's got 4 bolts attached. That goes straight onto the gearbox. Once that's off, we can then move on to remove the gearbox onto the lift. So as you can see, there's a bolt at the top of the prop shaft. The best way to reach that is to spin the prop shaft manually to be able to access the bolt, and that will then come off. This prop shaft goes straight onto the rear diff and onto the drive shafts for the rear wheels, as it's a 4-wheel drive. Here it is. This is where we're going to put the transmission on. As you can imagine, it weighs quite a bit. Yeah, it's not one of those gearboxes you do with your hands. Lower it down onto the stand, gearbox stand, and then we're onto the engine. So when it comes to removing an engine, it's more or less the coolant pipes from the radiator, wiring looms, anything that's attached to the chassis needs to come off, which will free up the engine, and then we're going to lift it up from the top of the car. So as you can see, we've now lowered the exhaust down. Here's the transmission lift, and the gearbox is now removed from the prop shaft. So as you can see, you've got 4 bolts there. That's now been removed. onto removing the last few bolts of the gearbox. We go there, 1, 2, 3, we go all the way around. We got 2 more left. Once we release that, this gearbox is gonna get onto the stand and out the way. Here, we have an extension going all the way down from here, purely because it's so hard to reach. So I was just thinking about this car, how we found coolant in the oil sump. That is just crazy. You can never know what you expect from an auction, seriously, man. Assuming it's an on-runner for, I don't know, bottom end or even the timing chain problem, but it turns out you got coolant in the oil sump. Absolutely mad. But we got to deal with it no matter what. So let's crack on. So we currently have all the bolts off in the gearbox at the moment, but as you can see, it wouldn't come off. It's just jammed. Now, the reason for that is because the engine seized up and it's proving to be very difficult to move this gearbox right now. So we just have to kind of shake it around a little, I guess. Hoping that it will slowly come off. It's just problems after problems, man. It couldn't just be a case where we get the gearbox off into the engine out. There have to be more problems in between. Give us some time, we're working on it. We're gonna get this gearbox off and eventually the engine's gonna come out. So we've got a pry bar in there, just about trying to leverage this thing out. Proving to be very difficult at the moment. This sort of mechanical work might look easy, but trust me, man, hours and hours. And you know, in this heat, like 26 degrees in London right now, boiling hot. And to add some more wood to the fire, of course, you got this gearbox problem as well now. Bit of progress there, look at that. See that gap? That's the gearbox now clearing from the engine. Whoa. There you go. We're getting there. Yeah, we got a bit of a mess. Got some gearbox fluid coming out. There we have it. Gearbox is now separated from the engine. So add this to the list of the cost. Transmission fluid needed. Here we go. Look at the size of this gearbox, man. That is one big gearbox, for sure. All right, let's get this pulled out of the way. And that exposes the engine, the rear of the engine. So do you want to show them what was causing the gearbox to not come out so easily?
This is a flywheel.
Yep.
Converter. The converter meant to disconnect from the flywheel, which is the 1, 2, 3, 4 bolt.
Yeah.
Because the engine is jammed, engine cannot turn.
Yeah.
You have to have a peephole here that can reach to the bolt.
Okay.
So therefore, that's the reason why it couldn't come out.
Okay. Well, that makes sense then. That's the reason the gearbox was so difficult to pull out. Anyway, it is out now. Onto the engine. Let's go. Engine's about to come out. With the engine crane over here. So we got the seat belt attached around the engine, straight onto the crane, and it's about time we get this engine out of the beast. We gotta carefully ease the engine up. You gotta be very careful because you got all these ancillaries at the front of the engine and all the pipes and whatnot. Make sure they don't get caught up. It's a big unit, this 5 litre V8 supercharged engine. Massive engine. This is a struggle. Absolutely no space around this engine. Torque converter is attached, as you can see. Look at that clearance. None whatsoever. But we're getting the job done regardless. As we always do. No job is too big, no job is too small at Boost Performance. So right there, you see that? Torque converter is what's making this job so difficult. And there you have it. The 5 litre supercharged engine is out. I don't know about you guys, but I can't wait to get this car fired up. Look at this beast, man. It's got a pan roof as well. It's summer, perfect for blasting this SVR around town. But first, we got some work to do. This whole big lump needs to get stripped out. That is the reason why it was so hard to remove this engine today, because it is stuck onto the engine. And when you strip it down, it'll be a lot easier to put it back in. There you have it. Engine is out. Madness. Wow, look at that. So let's get this engine to the engine build area over there, and then we can start the strip down process. Tear down process begins. So here's the engine behind me. 5 litre V8 supercharged ready to get stripped down. First thing to do is take the cylinder heads off and see what the damage is. It is now end of working day today. Gonna wrap up the video here. In the next one, join us where we start fully stripping this engine down. And what that's gonna consist of is removing all the ancillaries, of course, supercharger, literally what you see here, it's gonna become bare. You're only gonna see the block and the heads at the end of it. So yeah guys, thank you very much for joining me on this episode. Look forward to many episodes to come. We're gonna get this car stripped and fully built up. Looking very, very forward to it. And I can't wait to build the engine back up and throw it in and start it up for the first time. Till next time, it's Namz Boost, from Boost Performance. Peace.